the hills of Utah, there is a cave where a man has been trapped for over 15 years. Not rescued, not recovered, still there, exactly where he got stuck, and the authorities didn't abandon him. They buried him there on purpose. This is the story of John Jones and the last 27 hours of his life. Near Salt Lake City, Utah, hidden inside a cluster of rocky hills, lies a cave known as Nutty Putty Cave, a hydrothermal cave system discovered in 1960 by a man named Dale Green. From the moment it was found, thrill seekers couldn't stay away. The cave became famous, or rather infamous, for its incredibly narrow, slippery, twisting passages. There's only one way in, and that entrance? Just 30 inches wide. If your chest and waist aren't under 30 inches, you're not getting through, period. For decades, nearly 20,000 people visited every year, pushing their limits inside those tight underground tunnels. But between 1999 and 2004, a series of accidents started raising serious red flags. In one incident, a 23-year-old got stuck deep inside for 6 hours. In another, a young man spent an entire night trapped underground, upside down. By 2006, authorities had seen enough. Nutty Putty Cave was shut down. Professional cavers pushed back, arguing the cave should only be closed to beginners, not to experienced explorers. Officials fired back, calling the cave a ticking time bomb. The debate went on for a year. Finally, in 2007, the cave reopened, but under strict new rules. A management committee was formed. To get inside, you had to apply for a permit 21 days in advance, prove you had serious caving experience, and bring professional equipment. It wasn't easy to get in, but John Jones managed it. John Jones was 26 years old, fit, adventurous, and passionate about caving. He lived near Salt Lake City with his wife and young daughter. On November 24th, 2009, John and his brother Josh, along with 2 friends, received their permit and entered Nutty Putty Cave at around 8 p.m. The brothers had some caving experience, but this was their first time inside Nutty Putty. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. They explored the cave's largest chamber, a section called the Big Slide, and the excitement was building. That's when John made a decision that would cost him everything. He wanted to go deeper, all the way to the most challenging section of the cave, a passage called the Birth Canal. The Birth Canal is legendary among cavers, extremely narrow, disorienting, and difficult to navigate, even for experts. Plenty of people had gotten stuck just trying to reach it, but John and his group were fit, confident, and determined. John led the way, crawling on his stomach through the tightening rock. He thought he was heading toward the birth canal. He wasn't. Somewhere in the dark, John made a single wrong turn. Instead of going right toward the birth canal, he veered left into a passage called the Scout Crawl, an area so tight that only the slimmest, most experienced cavers had ever ventured there. As he pushed forward, the walls closed in around him. He couldn't turn back, so he kept going, hoping, praying that the passage would open up just a little further ahead. It didn't. Instead, John found himself dropping headfirst into a small, downward-sloping pocket, roughly 10 inches by 18 inches, the size of a washing machine drum. He slid in. There was a dead end, and now John Jones was stuck upside down, head below, feet above, arms pinned against his body by the surrounding rock. He couldn't move his hands. He couldn't push himself out. He couldn't do anything. He was completely and utterly trapped. John called out for his brother. When Josh finally reached him, all he could see were John's legs sticking out of a crack in the rock. At first, Josh didn't realize how serious it was. He even laughed a little. Then, reality hit him. Josh grabbed John's legs and pulled hard, but it only made things worse. John slipped further down into the crevice. They needed professional help, but this deep inside the cave, there was no cell signal. Josh had to crawl all the way out, call 911, and then make his way back to stay with his brother. 3 hours later, the first rescue team arrived. A caver named Susie Matola spent 2 hours attempting to extract John. She even cut off his jeans, hoping to gain even half an inch of extra clearance. It wasn't enough. Susie came back out, exhausted. Outside the cave, John's wife and daughter had arrived. More than 30 rescue workers were now gathered, debating options. Someone even suggested amputating his legs. Eventually, they settled on a pulley system, anchor points drilled into the cave walls, ropes tied around John's legs, and a coordinated pull to drag him out, but drilling into the rock in a 700-foot deep cave. Through passages barely wide enough for one person, this was going to take time. The clock is ticking, and time was the one thing John didn't have. A doctor on the rescue team delivered chilling news. John had approximately 10 hours before his organs began to fail. Here's why. The human body is designed to function upright. The heart sits in the upper chest and pumps roughly 80% of the blood downward, aided by gravity. But John was inverted. His heart was now fighting gravity to push blood upward to the rest of his body. Every minute, his heart was working harder than it was ever built to work. The risk of cardiac arrest was real and growing. Rescuers intensified their efforts. After hours of painstaking work, the pulley system was finally in place. They pulled. John moved slowly, agonizingly, but he moved. Then, a pulley anchor snapped free from the wall. John dropped back into the hole. The team regrouped. They sent a two-way radio down to John so he could hear his wife's voice. It helped. John calmed down. For a moment, there was hope again. 19 hours after he first got stuck, the team was ready to try again. This time, they pulled carefully, methodically, managing the pressure on his legs with every inch gained, and it worked. Slowly, John was coming out, far enough that a rescue worker could finally see his face. That worker later described it. John's eyes were red and swollen, but there was joy on his face. After 19 hours in the dark, upside down, he could finally look out into the cave. One last pull. That's all it would take. Then the second pulley failed. John fell back in. In the final attempt, rescuers tried drilling through the surrounding rock to break John free. But by now, it was too late. John stopped responding. He stopped moving. His wife spoke to him over the radio. No answer. A paramedic was sent down to check for a pulse. On November 25th, 2009, at 11:53 p.m., John Jones was pronounced dead. His wife couldn't accept it at first. She refused to believe her husband had died because of one wrong turn in the dark. The doctors had given him 10 hours. His remarkable physical fitness bought him 17 more, but it wasn't enough. Recovering John's body was considered. Multiple plans were drawn up, including the unthinkable option of removing the body in pieces. In the end, every plan was abandoned. The decision was made to seal Nutty Putty Cave permanently and declare the cave itself as John Jones's official burial site. Today, his body remains inside that crack in the rock, in the same position, in the same darkness where he took his last breath. Outside the cave entrance, a small memorial plaque marks his name, and the cave that once drew 20,000 thrill seekers every year now stands locked and silent, a permanent reminder of how quickly adventure can turn into tragedy. One wrong turn, 10 by 18 inches of rock, and a young father never came home.